Hello everybody, this is my CZW Cage of Death 10 review for CZW January, or last few days of January. But before I go into it, I was just rewatching the 10th anniversary show, and there was a really interesting quote that I thought well, it's not the exact quote, because I couldn't find the exact quote anywhere. I kind of only thought about it after I was rewatching it to see if I was going to review it, and no, I'm not going to review it, but the quote is, roughly, and Blackout were cutting a promo in the ring, so just to put it into context, and they were cutting it on fans and swearing at them. And this is what Zandig had to say about that. What is with all this motherfucking swearing? I got kids and families and shit here. Cut it the fuck out. End quote. I just think that's the most fantastic thing that anybody has ever said about anything, and I hate it when people do that on MSN. Anyway, onto the actual review of the actual show that I'm doing a review of. It's the first matchup was a Sky's the Limit ladder match. Basically, it was like a Money in the Bank ladder match for junior heavyweights. It was a pretty insane setup with scaffolds and ladders and all kinds of crazy shit. All corns of crazy shit. I'm going insane. Rick Blade was the special guest referee, and the crowd went nuts for him. Overall, all the contestants beat Pinkie, Sanchez, Dan Paysan, Quick Cut, Great, Egotistico, Fantastico, and Ryan McBride. I think Egotistico, Fantastico was the best, but everyone really did their part in the match. Pinkie Sanchez was definitely the most over, but I'd like to think that by the end of the match, Egotistico Fantastico was really over with the crowd, which he was. And there was all sorts of crazy shit. There was, people going through tables, people going through ladders getting thrown into people. Everything you'd see in a Money in the Bank ladder match, just taking it one step further. I mean, if you like a Money in the Bank ladder match, or any kind of ladder match, you really should like this, because it's practically the same thing. They've just taken everything a little bit further than what you would typically see. As a result, it is a bit more spotty, but it is still a lot of fun for what it is. So 3 3/4 stars. Next up was a Zandig promo. He got inducted to the Hall of Fame at the new Alhambra Arena. And in the promo he said, this is another Zandig quote, I think he's just a goldmine of great quotes. He said, and this is an exact quote, I am about to cry, but I don't want to fucking cry. Isn't he just a marvelous man, people? It's just, jeez, what a great man. Anyway, next matchup was the regular John Dahmer squash match, which he'd been doing for like a year up until that point, against the Kabuki kid. Boring chants pretty much straight away. A standard John Dahmer match. Who gave a shit? Everyone knew he was going to win. He beats the crap out of a geek. He wins. 1.5 stars. Next match was Adam Cole, HGTV, and LJ Cruz versus GNC and Emo's for a 6-man tag match. And this was a grudge match from the show the month before. Yeah, like they can have a bit of a squabble, and then the next month it's a grudge match. Just so you know, just so it all makes sense to you. Of course, they didn't really wrestle like a grudge match. It was a very spotty kind of 6-man tag match, but it was good for what it was. At points there were some boring chants, and it was quite boring, but I think it was an overall a solid match with a very good ending, which I won't spoil for you in case you're going to be getting the DVD. So 2.5 stars for that. It really was the ending which gave it that extra 0.5 star. Not like anything to write home about, but really did make the match stand out and stood out in my mind. Next match was Sonjay Dutt versus B-Boy. Sonjay being heel, B-Boy being the face. I mean, I can't imagine him being anything else if Sonjay's the heel. It was a pretty good match, but for whatever reason, there was no heat. You'd think there would be, because they're both pretty big names, but it was going to be a long night, so I guess that kind of makes... And the crowd was kind of burnt out after the ladder match at the start. But there was some really good wrestling going on here. Both B-Boy and Sonjay Dutt are very talented. Jesus, it just keeps happening. Sonjay Dutt was excellent in this match. He did a double moonsault and plus a shooting star press combination, and that was the peak of the match for me. But it ended with a sleeper hold on B-Boy, and I was just, what? Because the match was really picking up, and I was really enjoying it, and it was really good. Went 5 minutes too short, ended with a sleeper hold, and what, CZW sleeper hold? You've got to be fucking kidding me. But 3 stars for the match itself. Then there was a tag title match, and it was a 4-way elimination match with 2 girls, 1 cup, Cheech and Cloudy, the Olsen twins, and Team Andrew. So kind of the more major tag teams over the past 12, 18 months in CZW. And this match was typical of what you'd see in something like Chikara. Lots of comedy wrestling, lots of fun, high-paced action. Beef Wellington was the highlight of the match when he was doing all of the WWE finishes onto Colin Delaney, who was one of the Olsen twins. Like the head squash and the Kali chop and all kinds of shit like that. And one thing that stood out in my mind, and don't take it the wrong way, was the Olsen twins were wrestling half the match with their ass out until the fans chant, "Pull your pants up." And it got a little bit distracting of the match, but it was more of a comedy match for the most part. But I really did think it was really good, given its place on the card. I think it could have been better though. If this match was to happen in Chikara, it probably would have gotten more time. It probably would have been 3.5 stars, but it wasn't. It was 3 stars. I did expect better, but still, it was really good for what it was. Next matchup was the Blackout versus the Hate Club. Now, this match had actually been built up over the past few shows, so you kind of expected it to be a big deal. But at the last month's show, major show, the Hate Club promised someone would die. Like, that was a promise. That was the word used. We promise someone is going to die. Why do I look small now? I've raised the camera a little bit. Whatever. But it was promised that somebody was going to die. And I really did hope someone would die in the ring. Preferably one of the 4 people within the match. No offense to them, but I would hope it would be someone who was wrestling the match that would die in the course of the match. That would be much better than one of the fans dying in the ring in the course of the match. But yes, the match started with the Hate Club chasing the Blackout around the building with chairs. Then the match got into the ring, and this was supposed to be a blood feud, and I kind of believed that somebody was going to die. And then they started wrestling, and it was chain wrestling. And I just went, wait, isn't this CZW? Why are they chain wrestling when 1, it's a blood feud, 2, it's CZW, and the fans will let you kill each other, and 3... chain wrestling. Nick Gage and Nate Hatred doing chain wrestling. Not pretty, but it finally broke down into a brawl, and there was people. Nate Hatred got thrown through a bunch of chairs. Ruckus got the heat on Gage. So it was a standard tag match in CZW with a little bit of brawling up until that point. Sabian got tombstone through a table, and then Nick Gage kept chokeslamming Ruckus over his knee, chokeslamming him over his move. You know what I'm talking about. And the ref stopped the match and awarded it to the Hate Club. I'm like, yeah, no, nobody died. I'm disappointed. And the match itself, very average, very just there. Big letdown that nobody died. And I don't mean actually die in the ring. Come on, fuck. I don't want to be seen as somebody who wants to see people actually physically die. But I've already seen that. So 2.25 stars. Then we had DJ Hyde versus Deranged in a fans bring the weapons match. These guys actually did start brawling, and it worked because they could brawl, they could do it, they could just go and kill each other. And they used the weapons, and there was Deranged going nuts on DJ Hyde with a water jug. God, fucking hell, DJ Hyde was hated in this match. But then Deranged went backstage and grabbed a machete, and he came out with a machete. A machete, this is something you hack at people with. You cut their arms off, you cut their face off, you cut their head off, you cut trees down. Oh, you don't cut trees. You cut shit with it. You're swinging at things, right? And what's he do with it? He gets, DJ Hyde, and he stabs him in the forehead with the tip of it. I just went, kill him! Fucking cut his arm off or something. That's what a machete's used for. Same thing happened with the pocket knife. Instead of stabbing someone, it's fucking in the forehead. It just, it's a, death match. Somebody can die. Whatever. The best part was a dildo getting thrown into the ring. That was fantastic. Thrown at DJ Hyde, and also Billy Graham getting stapled. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But there was a CZW chant in the match, and then it just ended too early, like 5-10 minutes too early. It should have really gone over the top. 2.5 stars. It had its moments, but it wasn't like fantastic and really good. So 2.5 stars for that. Then we had the Cage of Death match itself. It was a small cage within a bigger cage with glass and things with barbed wire and other pointy things that could maim somebody. There's not really much I can say about the match other than it was crazy, but the match started off in a bad way when you had Nikki Benz come out and say, oh, this is my entry into the Cage of Death, came in, everyone beat the shit out of him, threw him out, and then the match started with all contestants being Devon Moore, Sami Callihan, Drake Younger, Danny Havoc, Zandig, Brain Damage. All good guys that I like to see wrestling in a big cage, killing each other. Fucking burping, goddamn. But yeah, the match itself was insane. It was over the top. People getting thrown through shit, people were falling down, there was an explosion on the top of the cage. But the crowd, for the most part, was really dead for it because, one, a lot of the fans left because it took so long for them to put up the cage, and two, it was just too crazy. Well, I don't think that was the actual problem. I think everybody really stood out in this match. Zandig won and then split the winnings between the remaining five, so it was $10,000. It was for $10,000, and he gave $2,000 each to the five remaining guys. But yeah, Brain Damage is the only guy who I didn't think really carried himself the best in the match, but we'll get into that in a later review. The match itself, I'll give it 3.5 stars, and the show itself, I'll give it 7 out of 10. Good, good, but should have been more than what it actually was.